Hello, hello, hello. I'm back. It's raining really hard right now, so I can only apologize if that is hearable, as it may have just kicked in even harder, so that's brilliant, but I will try to drown it out with my dulcet tones. Somebody suggested I do a tier list of the alphabet, and who am I to deny the public what it wants? So, here I am, and I am ranking the alphabet. I was going to do a joke episode of this, where it was the tiers were from A to Z, and I put all the letters in a tier from A to Z, ranking them, and none of them were in the right tier. That was just going to make me giggle, but I decided to actually properly rank them, because they deserve it. And no, I'm not going to A, B, C, D, unless deserved. Unless deserved. I don't actually know what order I'm going to put a lot of these in, but I know a few of them. So, let's just start off. And we've got A. A. Arguably one of the greatest letters to exist. S tier already, I know. Jumping the gun a bit there, but A is such an iconic letter. I mean, it's the beginning of the word alphabet. The word alpha. A. It's just on its own. It is a word. It's such a powerful letter that by itself, it is a word. A is an S tier word. S tier letter. It's iconic. It's everywhere. It's a vowel, which makes it very important. So, S tier for the A. B. B is C tier. I mean, what words begin with B? Barn, Barnstable, Barnaby, Barnyard. Lots of words that include barn in them. But B is it's a meh letter, honestly. I can't think of anything very important that starts with B, except maybe names, I suppose. But B is just like an okay letter. Nothing to write home about. Definitely doesn't stand up to the power of A. C. C is S tier. C is so prolific in the world. I mean, C, very common letter. My name is Chris, so, clearly it's got to go in S tier. And that's all the reasoning I really need, but, what other words start with C? Cock. D. D is D tier. Unfortunately, D is now synonymous with the idea of sucking, because it's bottom tier. D is just terrible, Let's give an example of where D is the worst letter. Let's say, for instance, you're playing a Sonic game. You get a rank from S to E. If you get an E, you're like, yeah, I know, I did terribly. But if you get a D, D is a special case. I mean, getting a D in a Sonic game is like somehow worse than E, which is literally a lower rank. I don't get it, but D is just, it's synonymous with failure. You have to get a C to pass in your exams, in England anyway. A C is a pass, a D is a fail. Unfortunately, D has a negative connotation, and the stereotypes do ring true, so D has to go in the D tier, unfortunately. E. E is an A tier word. I mean, let's think about it. E. I believe E is the most common letter in the English alphabet. It's the beginning of the word English, so, that's a good start. But E, it's not perfect. It has its failings. Like how this particular E, the more I'm looking at it, I can only see the black parts, so it kind of just looks like a D. But E itself, fine. Lots of good opportunities for good words. Elephant is an E word, and we all love elephants. So E is A tier, but it's not S tier like these two big boys up here. F. F is with D. Unfortunately, D D is synonymous with failure, but F is literally the beginning of failure, and it is the worst thing you can get. If somebody is grading something and they hit you with F, you fucked up. You gotta move on from that, unfortunately. So F is D tier. If there were an F tier, it would be in there. G. G is one of them odd words, Ghana. That's not starting with a G. Gnome. Who is writing this stupid fucking language? Gnome does not start with a G, but it's there. And who am I to argue with the English alphabet? It's just a fun word, you know? Gorilla. We all like gorillas, so gotta go B tier on the G. H. H is an S tier word. I mean, the symmetry of the ladder shape, perfect. Helicopter. What's not to love? I. I is one of those things, you know, it usually follows a different letter, and so I gotta put it in the center. I mean, I, what is an I but something to add onto the end of an A? Said. Laid. Raid. Shadow Legends. I is just the younger brother that wanted to play, so you gave him a fake controller. He doesn't even show up in most words, honestly. J. J is an A tier word. I mean, only the best words have a J in it. Joker. K. K is good, but K doesn't show up very much, you know what I'm saying? Think of a word that begins with K that isn't king. Exactly. There are none. King is the only word that starts with a K as far as I know. So it's got to go in the centre. Nothing wrong with it, but there's just not much going for it. L. Unfortunately, it's got to hold the L. L is now also synonymous with sucking. You know? Loser. You know what I'm saying? L is cool, but it has had too much time in the spotlight and now needs to disappear forever. You know, and also BLT. Let's talk about BLT, right? BLT, lettuce. No one's thinking about it. M is an A tier word, letter. I mean, think of all the M words, you know. Magenta, Markiplier. That's all I really need to offer, but you know, M is a good word. Nice shape. Everyone knows how to write M. M is so good. It's got another letter in it. I mean, there's just not much to hate about it. We've all thought about drawing, well, at least every Dragon Ball fan has thought about drawing the margin M on their forehead. At least I thought about it. N. N is cool, but N is just the precursor to M. Well, actually, it's the after, it's the post cursor. You know, when someone says M, you think N, because what is N but half of an M? It's got to go in C tier, unfortunately. O, that's an S tier. I mean, if I'd put Elmo there, I would have laughed, but I'm slowly spelling a chew. There we go. O is S tier. I mean, it's a circle. They got it. It was such a good letter, they made it a number. You know, 0. It's even got an O in it. O is just a phenomenal letter, and honestly, it was just a good idea. It was a good idea. It was a C, but they connected the ends. It was an I, but they put a hole in it and stretched it out. O is perfect, and it's a vowel, so, you know, very important. I mean, A, E, I, O. All the vowels are in the top half, and O is one of the best. P. P is a good letter, except every time I say P, someone giggles, because we're all children, really. Q. Q, you know what? Q is one of those things where it's like marmalade. Q is like marmalade. You either love it or you hate it. And I personally, I love it. It's got a bit of personality. It's an O, but they put a flick in it. You know? That's character development in my eyes. This particular Q looks like it's smoking a pipe, but that's besides the point. Q is O, but in the future. You know, there was a time skip, and now he's got a little flick to show you that time has passed, but he retains the same shape to show that he's still the same guy. You know, Q is like an O in disguise, so I love Q personally, and though it doesn't see much use other than in Quentin and Q, the word that has a U and E, a U and an E in it, and none of them are said out loud. Oddest word in the English alphabet, or the English dictionary, but Q is good. Q is good. S tier for Q. R. R is better in Spain than it is in England. I mean, R. Not very brilliant over here. I mean, if you're American, you say R. I can't get behind that. You know, you sound more like a pirate than I do. And I'm English. We all sound like pirates. But R, fine. But in Spain, That is a good letter. If this was a Spanish tier list, S. But it's English, so it goes in B because ah. Just sounds like I'm saying ah, you know? But I'm not at the dentist, so... Stupid. S. S is S tier. S is such a good letter that it has replaced the first letter of the alphabet as the highest grade you can achieve. Not in anything but video games, but you know what I mean. A is good. If you get an A, you've basically perfected it. But if you get an S, you are better than everyone else. Also, look at it. They pushed the boat out on that one. They made it curly. They made you think they were drawing a C, and then they went, oh, get fucked, and they drew another C, but upside down and backward. How cool is that? Anyway, T. T is a high-tiering word. I mean, a high-tiering letter. It's a classic. Words, letters where you have to draw one part of it, then take your pen off the page and draw the other part. I like those letters. Ignore the F is down here, but I like those. T, K, I, G, J, H, all very good letters in their own right. But T is a classic. T, if you look at the letter T, you know what you're talking about. We know where we are. We know where we stand with this. T, it's like a high-ranking general, but it's not, you know, the commander. I don't know army ranks. I wasn't talking about army ranks. I was just talking about which one sounds the most in charge. Okay, this is a prince. These are the kings. You know what I'm saying? U, a vowel, a classic, but underutilized. So I'm going to have to put it in the C tier. I mean, underutilized is a combination of two words that start with U. So I've already disproved my own point, but it needs more representation, you know? What starts with U? Uvula. Umbrella. You know what I'm saying? It's got to go in C tier for now, but if we see it come back in later seasons of the English alphabet and language, and it comes back with better words, we'll get somewhere, and we might update this in the future. V. V, I got to give it D tier. V, I mean, volume, voluptuous, violin. Boring words that you don't want to use in regular conversation. Even if you're talking about the word violin, you don't want to say it because it's disgusting. And what is a V but half of a W, you know? W is he's one of the top ones, you know, he's a legend of the craft. I mean, I know he's just an M but upside down, but you got to pay respects to the classics. W is amazing. Wubba lubba dub dub, that starts with W. Wing. Wing is a funny word. Wet, wild. You know, lots of good words start with W. So we gotta put them in A tier for that one. X. I know that other than xylophone, you've not got much, but X has gone beyond a letter. It's now a symbol. You ever heard the saying, X marks the spot? Exactly. This one letter has become its own saying. It's become a symbol. What is a cross but just an X? It's literally just an X. You know? Multiplication. You know? 1x1. X has gone above and beyond. And so it's branched so far out of the alphabet that I don't even think it should be considered a letter even anymore. But that's not a bad thing. It's just that good, you know? Algebra, 4x. It's the main letter of algebra because we simply couldn't find another use for it. So we put it into maths instead. I'm very proud of X. X, you know what? If X was my child, I would give it a firm handshake. Y. Y is okay, but you know, it's not great when the letter that you're talking about sounds like a question. Y. Y indeed. And Z. For all you Americans out there, this is a Z. But I say Z because I was raised in a house with walls and a roof and carpet. Z? You know what? I can't think of another use for Z other than zebra. But in terms of alphabet, it's unfortunately D tier. But in terms of the fact that I watch Dragon Ball Z, B tier. Gotta love Z. It's really good. I mean, Dragon Ball Z, I know that I just said Z is for weirdos, but it only works in that one setting of saying Dragon Ball Z. Because Dragon Ball Z doesn't work, but saying Z on its own, that's even stupider. So yeah, there's my alphabet tier list. Let me know if you disagree. I'm really curious to see if you disagree. I mean, there's not really much to disagree with. I am obviously right. At least a few of these I can guarantee I'm correct with. B, that sucks. A, brilliant. E, classic. K, middle tier. S, absolutely is up here. O is up here for sure. F and D, they gotta be down there, you know? So, let me know what you think. I'm curious, and I expect a flame war in the comments about how much you disagree with me. I want this to be my most controversial video I've ever made. So yeah, you've officially worn my voice out, and thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.